Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we are trying to discuss about the one of the important example on this particular named parameter example we identified here, like how we can save this particular data using this particular named parameter, and same way we identified the named parameter how it is working to load the all the objects here. Okay, so this is important. We need to understand here. Now, finally, what I will do. So today we'll try to discuss about the remaining method how we can load with help of this particular get person ID. So the same query I'm going to write here, getting the code. So whatever the query we used here, now first I will modify the query. Let me go to this particular class, and here inside this particular Jdbc, let me copy the code whatever we are trying to use here, and this particular section. So named underscore load parameter with ID. Okay, and here now what I will do here, I'm going to provide as a, because it is a the named parameter Jdbc template, it will work on the name of the column here. Okay, where ID is equals to ID. Now after this, now what I will do, we will go to this particular method, and we'll copy the code. So whatever the so whatever the code we are using is this particular code only we are going to reuse here. So now observe carefully. Now what I am doing here, so we are calling this particular query for object here. Now I'm calling here. Okay, so in the named parameter Jdbc template, we don't have this particular query for object, or any parameters are not available. Now you can see what happens internally. The method query for object string SQL parameter source and row mapper in the type, so it is not applicable argument. So arguments not available. Now what we can do here, so is expecting string object array and no type of this particular row num. Whatever we are providing this is not available. Okay, these parameters are not available. Now what we can do, I will keep this as it is, this particular string, get independent, and the remaining section I'm trying to remove this. Instead of this, here only we can create an object here, map here. This is the section. Instead of this particular person ID dot ID, we can add something like ID, and here param map I'm adding. Now you can see, so it is resolved the particular error here. So it's simple, but only the difference is the query is available, the name of the method is available, but it is expecting different parameters. Okay, so along with this particular query is expecting parameter, the parameter map, and internally it is expecting the row mapper information. Okay, so this is we are discussing, and we are trying to handle this particular exception. Whenever we are trying to load the object, if the ID is no longer available, we'll get an exception called empty result data access exception. Okay, now where is the main file here? So this is the main file now I'm trying to use, and here we'll try to load this particular records here. If I'm trying to load this particular records here, now what happens internally? So for this particular named parameter, we are getting different exception. Okay, so given first parameter but expected 0. Okay, so select star from person where ID. Whatever we are using, it is wrong here. Getting the point. And if I'm going to show you this, we did not modify this, so it should expect with the named underscore load person with ID. Now again, I'm trying to run the same example here. Now you can see, given this particular 17, no records found in the database. Whatever the ID we are trying to give, with the help of this particular ID, we don't have any record in our database here. Okay, now what I will do, if I'm going to give this particular 14 record, we'll identify what happens internally. The person record, it is loading here. So this is the line number, like ID number 14 record we are trying to load here. So what is the simple change here? Only the second parameter, whatever the map related parameter we used here, the same parameter I'm using. Okay, this is the one of the important example on this particular name or parameter. Now the last method, update person. So how we can update this particular person information. So this is important here. Now what we can do, we need to write the information. So what is the column we are trying to update here? Something like, so to update this, first we need to go to this particular database. So what is the record we can update here? We'll try. So what is the record we can update here? Okay, so this is we can update here the last name for this particular 16 record. Whatever this particular 16 record we are having, we can update the 16 record information. Okay, for this, so now what we can do, we need to provide this particular information. This also I'm going to comment out, and 16 record last name. Okay, so the name will keep as it is. Only one column I'm trying to update here. So what is the column here? Update. And here, so 16. Okay, now we are trying to call this. So as of now, we did not implement any method information. So what is the method we can write here? Now we'll go to this, the Jdbc. So this particular Jdbc utility class here, and here we'll copy this particular last query, and here I'm again appending with name mode here, and here instead of setting this particular first name, I'm going to set only last name here. And here where ID. Okay, this is important. Now after defining this particular section, now what we can do, we'll move on to the method information. So for this particular method information, now what we can do, let me copy this particular method, the previous method. Okay, and here name mode update, and here what we can understand here, and this particular first name is not required. Only we are updating this particular last name. We'll see here we don't have any the particular method here. Here we don't have any the particular method. Now what we can understand here, so once we are calling this, so is expecting this particular error. Why it is expecting? Okay, so not Jdbc template here, it is a template here. Now you can see whatever we added, we are trying to call this particular update method, and internally we are updating with help of this particular ID and person last name here. Now I'm going to run the simple example here. So update whatever the 16 records we added, it is updated. Now we'll go to this particular 16 record. Now we'll run the query. Now you can see. So earlier it is update. Now it is update to update named parameter. Okay. So this is the way of updating this particular specific record. But each and every record, how it is working internally with help of this particular query. Whatever the query we are refining it. So this is the particular section. Okay, so instruction related, the specific object only we are going to insert here, but loading an object, it is important we need to understand here. So for loading, we are going to write multiple queries here. So once we are trying to write the multiple queries, whatever the specific column we are trying to load, so those specific column, how we are trying to load here with help of this particular result is set here. Okay, result is set. This is important. Here, RS is basically one of the result sets. So from the result set only, we are trying to load all the records information. So here we are having specific columns I'm providing it. Because of this particular columns here, I'm able to load the objects here. Okay. So insertion is not going to take much time, but loading an object, because we are going to make lot of relationships here. For example, just we are connecting the person. Now if you are trying to connect with the multiple objects, so the person internally is a user. The person can have a billing address, current address, getting the point, and the person can have some the transactions information. Person can have something like e-commerce related applications information, getting the point. So we have a lot of relations we are going to get. When we are trying to get this particular relations here, the get related query will try to write with the multiple conditions here. Okay, so once all the conditions are satisfied, now what we will do, if you're trying to load the specific records, we are going to provide the column names. The column names. Okay, how we are going to create the simple query I will provide here. For example, we are having the person. Okay, so here I'm trying to make a person here, and this particular person is going to join with something like a user. So whatever I discussed just now, user. On what we will do, so u dot something like id is equals to p dot id. So this is the condition we are going to make. And after this, so one more join I'm trying to write, and the person can have billing details or billing address. Okay, billing address. So BA. And here now what we can do, so BA dot something like ID. So like billing address ID, it is equals to P dot ID, person ID. Okay, and one more join. Now you can see how many joins we can write. So any table we can make it whenever they are in the relationship. Now another, so if it is billing address is completed, something like a transaction. Okay, transaction T. And here we can provide T dot ID is equals to P dot ID. Okay, how many transactions we made? This particular current person. Now how many table we joined, like how many objects we joined here? So person is joined internally user, billing address, and a transaction. And so these are all the 4 table we are making the join. After making the join, finally, now what we will do? We are going to get the something like a T dot amount. Okay, and so what is the u dot username? Okay, what is the name of the user? And something like BA dot first address one. Okay, so this is the way of loading the specific columns. So these are all the specific columns we are going to load, and this column we'll try to write internally inside this particular result set here. How we are making? So this ID will become transaction amount, and the first name will become username, and this particular last name will become some of the address one here. Okay, if you are not interested to load this particular specific columns, Now what happens internally? So this particular, all the person records we are going to load internally. So those columns also we need to write inside this particular result set. Otherwise, the data we are not going to get here. This is important here. So, but in the real-time scenario, so this is the queries we are going to write. Not only this particular query, we are going to write lot of joins here, because if I'm trying to like connecting with any real-time application, so it's going to take minimum. It is going to take minimum like 2 lines or 3 lines of queries we are going to write, and based on the requirement, we may write the single line queries also. But here, very important here, joins here, like how we are trying to make one table to another table, the connection here. With the help of this particular joins only, we are making it. Okay, so this particular joins we'll discuss in the Hibernate related section here. But now observe the get related sections we'll write multiple times, but in session related information we are going to write less times here. Okay, in session object insertion we are trying to insert only one time, but loading an object we are going to write for the multiple times, multiple places here. Okay, but that is depends on the basically criteria. Whatever the criteria we are going to write, based on the criteria we are going to implement the queries here to load the object from the database here. Okay, so this is we need to understand here. Now after writing this particular section, so one more method is like pending here, delete information. So how we can delete based on the ID? Okay, how we can delete this particular object based on the ID here? Now here I will write the method delete person, and here int ID. Okay, so here I'm going to write int ID. So it's like a same how we are trying to load the object from this particular result set. So the particular result set also containing internally ID condition. Now you can see, so this is the named parameter one we can discuss here. And here delete SQL. Now what I will do, where is the second, yeah, this method we can call, not required, this is also. Okay, and here person ID, this is also not required here. And here so deleted the record with this particular ID successfully. And while deleting this particular information, if you get anything, we'll get this particular else section. Okay, now finally here I'm going to write. Okay, so here before writing here we need to go to the person service, and here we need to write the delete method related section. Person do dot delete person ID, and finally we'll go on to this particular main method, and here simply I'm going to write service dot delete person ID. What is the record we can delete here? Something like 12 record. Okay, I'm trying to delete the 12 record here. Now you can see, so what happens internally? No value. Okay, got it. So query we need to modify. Only this we provided, but we did not added any query section here. So delete person. So delete from the table called person and where this particular ID here. Now we'll remove this section. This is the query we need to use. So delete from the person where ID is equals to something, the value we are going to provide. Now, if I'm going to run the same example, now you can understand here. So right now we are getting the different exception. Set. Okay, sorry. Still the set is available. So this is the SQL query error here, like a syntax we did not follow the proper way. Now because of that it is getting this particular error. Now you can see finally whatever this particular ID 12 we provided, with help of this particular 12 the record is deleted. Now if you go to this, now if you try to run this particular query, oh, we modified, right? Select star from whatever the 12 record we are trying to delete here, the record is no longer available here. So now you can see 10, 11, 14. Okay, 10, 11, 14 and 15, 39 section we are getting because some records are modified here. Because of this particular modification, order is missing here. Okay, internally we got the same insertion order here, but whenever we are trying to modify the record here, because of this particular modification, we miss this particular order information here. Okay, this is the CUD operations we discuss here with help of this particular name or parameters as well as Jdbc template here. Any questions here? Anyone having any question? Okay. So if you don't have anything here, now what we will do, we'll try to discuss about the one of the important example on this. This is important information we need to identify, something like local related section. So how we can discuss about I provided the information about the internalization concept here, how it is going to work. We need to understand this particular information here. Okay, so this is the one of the important concept, the message resource, like converting the message into the different languages here. Okay, converting the particular language, how we are going to use it. To work on this particular example, first what we need to go to this particular service class. Okay, here whenever I'm trying to call this particular delete person, here I'm going to write the local related section. So what is the local related section we can define here? The first important information, whenever we are trying to work on this, so we can write the message resource information. And here, message resource aware, like message source aware. Now if you see this particular message source aware, basically what it will do, whatever the message we are providing, it will try to convert it into the specific language here. Okay, it will convert it into the specific language. Now what I'm doing here I'm trying to providing this particular set message source here, set message source. Okay, so using this particular set message source, we are going to write the message information here. Okay, now what is the important information we need to write here? Now to understand this, message source dot, now what is expecting here is expecting get message here. The get message, basically we can write whatever the information we are trying to write here, string code here, and is expecting the locale, get in the pen. Now another important information what we want to copy. Now if you see, if I'm going to use this particular section, What is the code? Code basically what we want to convert the value. So something like here message.txt. This is the string, and this is basically here we can identify here position. It is a 0 position we are having, and locale we need to give. If I'm going to use this particular US, the value now it will convert it into the US language here. Okay, the value it will try to convert it into the US language. This is important information we need to understand here. Now, how this particular example it is going to work internally. Now, if you see what is the method the get message is trying to return string. Now, what we can do, you can print this particular message here. Okay, so this is the message resource we are providing here. Whenever we are providing this particular message resource, now if we go for this message resource aware we are having, but what is the implementation class is? The class I'm going to write here inside our where is the file? Jdbc spring-jdbc we are going to use here. Okay, now here what is the bean we need to write here? So why we need to write this particular bean here? This particular bean it will give you the information to the container. We are trying to use the internalization concept. So something like I18N. So whatever this particular I18 we discussed in the last session, this is we are going to discuss only in the application context here. The same information now we are implementing here. So what is the purpose this? It will try to convert based on the locale. The message is going to convert here. Okay. Now we'll identify how this particular message is going to convert internally. So to understand this, now what is the important section we need to write here? We need to write the particular bean here. So what is the bean we can write here? Something like message source. Okay, this is the ID and the class. So what is the class we can use it? To understand this particular class, first we need to understand here message. Okay, sorry. So resource bundle. Resource bundle message source. Anywhere the class is showing here. Okay, so here we are having the resource bundle message source here. So first one is 312 for 412, and we are having so two classes we are loading here, but we need to discuss about the first one here. Now I'm trying to copy this particular class here. This is important. Now it is trying to implementing. This is the aware related. So what is another aware we are using here? Something like the resource like message source aware here. Now if I'm going to provide this particular file inside this particular JDBC configuration, we need to come up with a package name also. Here I'm trying to providing this. After this, what is the property is expecting this? What are the properties is expecting this particular section? This is important here. Now we need to provide the base name. So what is the name of this particular file? It is trying to like appending here. So that section we'll call it as a one property here. What is the name of the property? We can go for it. So something like base name. And what is the value we can provide? This particular message. Whenever I'm trying to provide this particular message, it will try to append like this. So message underscore something. If it is a US, or you can write anything, or you can write anything. So Japanese, Spanish, whatever the language we want to convert here. Okay, we need to write this particular file, and inside the file we need to provide the values here. So now what I will do, first we'll try to discuss about the English section here. Element cannot have a character. So let's see. Okay, so value property I added here. Now finally, what we can understand here, this is the resource bundle message source. This is the implementation of the particular message source aware. Internally, what it will do, this particular object is going to create, and it will try to look up the any file which is trying to appending this particular message here. Now what I will do here, I'm going to create the file here. So what is the file we can create here? Message underscore something like us dot properties. Okay, this is we need to understand very carefully. Now, after this, now what we will do? We'll try to write the message here. So what is the message we can write here? Getting the point. So what is the particular message we can write? Now here simply the key is important. Where we are writing the particular key in the service class. So if you see here, this is the key I'm trying to use. Message dot txt. There is a service class file. Okay, this is the key. And what is the value we can provide here? Anything, whatever you are trying to provide this particular section here. Okay, so whatever the file we are trying to providing, something like message.txt is equals to, here we can write welcome to Spring Framework. Okay, this is I can write here. Now we'll see whether this particular message we can get or not. From where? Whenever I'm trying to call this particular delete person here. We'll see how it is going to work internally. Now we are getting an exception, but what is an exception here? Okay, is expecting en underscore us here. So this is the format is expecting here under this particular en underscore us here. Now what I will do, I will modify this particular file here. So click on this rename we are having. Now I save this particular same. Again I'm trying to run this example. So now you can see welcome to Spring Framework. So whatever the framework we are providing here, so this is the important information we can write. But what I provided here, something like the locale I given as a US. But for example, if I want to provide Chinese related section, okay, Chinese related section. So what happens internally? We need to create the one more file here. So how the file will contain here? Now, first simply I will create a one file here. So what is the file I'm going to create? Messages, yeah, message dot properties. Okay, message dot properties, and not this. Whatever I added the same message. So this is default purpose. Default message file. Okay. So no need to add this section here. Just for understanding, I'm trying to write default message file. And here inside this particular person service, now here I'm going to modify here. Here I'm going to modify if I'm trying to print the Chinese related section. So the Chinese language I'm not adding, but I'm trying to converting into the Chinese. Okay, simplified Chinese. So this is the local we need to use. Okay, this is the one of the important local we need to use. And now what I will do, this is the format we need to convert. We are trying to converting into the Chinese language. But right now I did not create any file. So what happens internally? Whenever I'm trying to run the same example one more time, we'll see what happens here. Now you can see welcome to Spring Framework. Getting the point. So how this particular information is trying to use it. So whenever the particular file it is not available, by default, what happens internally? It is trying to move on to the English language here. Okay. So by default, it will try to move on to the US language here. So because of that, we are getting the welcome to Spring here. Now, what we can do? We'll try to create the another file here. Now let me delete this. I'm trying to delete this particular file. If I'm going to run this, now you can see default message file. Getting the point. Now observe how this particular priority is working internally. This is important, we need to discuss here. First, the specified local file is no longer available. The specified local file is no longer available. What it will do? It will try to look up the default, so US related section. Now default, it will convert it into the US format. So in the US format file also, if not available, it will go to the message.property file. So this is will load. After this, if the property, if I'm going to delete, we'll get an exception. Okay, this is the hierarchy we need to understand. But right now, one more file I'm going to create here. So one more file I'm going to create here. The particular file basically message underscore zh underscore cn dot properties. And here the message.txt we need to use, and instead of this particular default here, Spring Framework from, what is the message we can write here? Chinese. So the message I'm trying to write here. We'll see whether this particular file is going to load it or not. So what happens internally? So still it is not loading this particular file. What we are missing here? This is important here. Getting the point. What we are missing here? Now we'll identify. I think Jdbc is not identifying here. So name, like a format of this particular file also, it is important here, how we are trying to load. So still, okay. So we'll see what is the format is expecting for this particular Chinese related section, and what is the format is expecting, we need to identify here. Now you can see we are getting an exception. So Jdbc only, right? So I provided Jdbc earlier, but okay. So because of this particular default, where is the service class? Okay, message.txt only we provided. Okay. So we'll use this particular null, and I will go for the same. Anything we have a rollback? No. Now I will run the same query. I hope it will try to load this particular value. So still it is not loading. Jdbc. No message found. We don't have a message. Okay, we have message. Maybe the file is not saved. Let me run one more time. So the file, like the message is already available. Oh no, still. No message is available. Why it is not loading the file? Basically it is available. No such message. Person service we are calling such message. and get message we are trying to load abstract application context. Okay, we'll put a breakpoint here. We'll see what happening internally. Maybe
For the language change, I think we have to add additional from the net oil.
what we need to add.
Like in the implementation, like in another class, we have to put, by calling the Chinese related one in the.
No, no need to add anything. Uh, no such. Why it is calling this? Okay, where we are handling this exception. Uh, Let me identify why I'm getting this default exception multiple times. No such method exception. What is the parameter type I'm providing? Name here. Default bean factory. What? Okay. Let me go to this person service. Breakpoint properties. Okay, here we don't have any conditional. Okay, from where we are trying to load this application context itself, it is loading. Okay, anyway, I need to exclude this. Oh, it is calling multiple times. So this is wrong. So I'm trying to put a breakpoint here, but it is not calling here. We'll run one more time. We'll see. Somewhere I added no. Let me see. Debug properties where we are having. Okay, now it will go. Okay, so finally, now it is coming to here. We need to identify message source we are getting here. And whenever I'm trying to call this, no such method we are getting. What I will do, here we'll use a expression. So using this particular expression, we can write the code here. So now, message source dot get message dot txt, and here what is the parameter we can provide? Something like null. locale dot cannot find the base name. Okay. Why this is failing? No message under the. Okay, what we can do, we'll put a breakpoint, like we'll try to debug this particular code. We'll identify so what happens internally. Let me go to this. So message source. What is the code we are having? Message argument 0. Maybe because of this we have a locale. So ZSCL. Okay. Now we'll see from where we are getting the message source is null. No. We are returning the message source. So after this we are calling the get message. And we'll move on to the get internal message. So code we are passing and local we are plotting. Okay. So now locally it is not null. Argument if it is empty, and is always use a message format. What is the method of this? So where we are providing this, it is false here. So in our case, it is satisfying as a true. Why it is satisfying as a true? It is a log factory message format. Set to message always, from where it is going to call this particular message source support. Okay, so we'll see this particular parameter is now it is satisfying, and we are trying to give arguments. What is our argument we are getting? And this is true. Okay, so this is satisfying as a true. Now what we are doing, no argument to apply. Therefore, though no message format needed to involve the. Okay, this section, not the default implemented, still message format. Now we'll see how this particular method is implemented internally. So result we are making null base names. Okay, the base name dot length, something like 6 or 7. Okay, it is taking as a string. Okay, string array, because of that it is trying to give only 1. Now it is satisfying. And we are providing the locale also. And resource bundle. Cache resource, what we are getting? Null. Okay, so we'll go to the L section, do get bundle. And here bundle class loader. What is the class? Resource bundle basis source. Okay, so why we are getting this as a null? Any para constructor we are missing? Base name we are setting. Okay. We are missing the class loader. So why we are missing? Set the class loader to load the resource bundle with. Default is containing the bean factory, and being class loader aware is a class loader. So class util default class loader it is going to call. Okay, so let me set this class loader also. We'll identify, because here we are getting null, and here if it is null it is trying to load being class loader. So what is the being class loader we are getting? Packages have being class loader. Okay. context current the context loader. Okay, anyway, the same application context only it is loading here. Now we'll see we are getting the resource bundle, and we'll call this get bundle now. Base name we are providing, and local we are providing, and loader. Okay, loader is not null. So now it is loading this reflection get color class. So what is the color we are getting? Okay, resource bundle message source. So this is only the object we created. Now it is loading, and you can see the name this. And if you go to the like base classes packages, name packages reflection data, where is the property? Okay, anyway, the method is the class is loading. So caller we are having, and the base name we are having, and we'll load to this particular default controller caller dot get module. So what we are going to get this particular module on name module. Okay, so right now module is null. Okay, no problem. This module is null also. We'll go to this particular default controller. Here now it is satisfying. So target model dot is named. I think it is not named. It is unnamed. So sorry. False here. Whenever it is false, it is moving on to this get control. Okay. Now what we can see, again we need to check this. List cannot be resolved as a tab. Okay. Anyway, so finally we are getting the control. So what is the control we are getting? Resource bundle control. Okay. And we'll go to resource bundle get bundle IMPL. We are passing the base name, and local also we are passing, and caller loader control. Okay. Now after this module get unnamed model. So finally we are calling the same cache key no bundle reference. Okay, now you can see the format java class dot java properties. So these are all the property file it is loading. Where our file is appending, that is important here. Now you can see, so these are all the locations we are having. What we are providing, so this is available, or we can go for this particular ZH also. So these two, it will match here. Whatever the property file we provided, it will match here. Now finally, we are trying to check with this particular bundle. What is the index? 0 target locale. Okay, this is loading. So now locale is modifying here. Okay, parent is null, bundle null. Okay, after this, where we are checking here? So this is the method closing, and it will satisfy this. Try missing the resource exception. If the bundle is null, we are getting an exception. We'll see this. Correct. We are getting null. So why we are getting null? Here the parent is not matching. So why the parent is not matching? So whatever the format we provided, we'll see this. What is an exception we are getting? Missing resource. Now something is different. So here cannot find the bundle for the base name message locale Jdbc. So but we are having cannot find the bundle name message. Okay, so this is the different exception, but what we are getting earlier, that is a different.
Is that can we rename that message underscore that file to the just gh_cn dot properties?
The base name we are giving here something like a message here. So using this only it will append.
Okay, okay.
Okay, now, so not this. Whatever the exception we identified, I will handle that exception. No such missing exception. So how we are, like from where we are getting this, we need to handle this. So go to the breakpoint and click on Java. No such method is available, right? Okay, so anyway, it is available. From where it is calling. So I'm cleaning this, whatever the section we are having. Now I'm running this. We'll see from where we are getting. Okay. Okay, so fallback kind of message. It should return this. Resolve the code without argument. We'll see. So what is the condition is failing here. I will put a breakpoint here. Maybe we are like this condition, these two conditions are not satisfying here. Because of that, now we are throwing this particular exception. So here, something here we are missing here. So that we need to identify what we are missing here. Now we'll
But it
again.
says that the line number 40, right, in the person service.
Yes. Okay. So what is the message we are trying to get this? Null we are getting. Okay. So here cannot find the bundle for the base name message. So what is the bundle is expecting here? Because of this particular message only, the message is not loading here. Okay, so where we are getting this particular message, we'll identify here. Internally, we'll debug this particular code. Code is not null. Local also not null. Argument we are loading. So what is argument? 0. So recording this, it should, what is the resources bundle loading? ES is somewhere we are getting in ES. is always we are not providing. Resolve the argument what we are having here. So now if it is null, it will load this and it will add the message. Okay, we'll try with adding the null. Otherwise we need to create the resource bundle. So we'll see. Basically this is the position where the values we are trying to load. Now you can read this code locale array of argument that will find the param with a message. Look like 0, date, and so array of argument will be defined. Let me run one more time. Something. If it is not satisfied, we'll move on to the custom resource bundle creation here. We'll create the resource bundle and we'll try to execute this. Okay. Okay, here only it is trying to return in this code with the locale. Okay, here we are not getting the bundle here. I think this is we are missing. Yes. So this is the bundle it is missing. Why it is missing? So what is loading? The cache sheet bundle, it is empty. If it is empty, where it will go? So it is trying to return the empty. Okay, now I understand. Null. How we are trying to store this? Resource bundle message source. So we are trying to call this constructor from where it's showing here. Like from where it is trying to show the values. Here we are loading, and if I'm not getting the null, it is trying to set this. Okay, here only it is trying to do the operation. Okay. This we can copy, and the base name I'm going to provide, and the locale I will provide this. So loader will provide the null. By default it will load this, no problem. And with help of this, now what happening internally? It is loading this. Okay, so let me try here only in the person service. Base name, what we can provide? Yes, so you are. We'll run this. We'll see. Okay, every time it's trying to use this. So because it is moving onto the default one. Okay, so why it is moving here? So whenever I'm adding this, it will run here. Whatever the file we are trying to add here, message underscore en. Okay, so I'm adding this file. We'll see why this particular file only it is loading here. Now we need to debug this particular section here, because so some condition we are missing here. The condition we need to identify, because this the default one now it is satisfying here. So if I remove that, so resource here, we can remove this. Basically it should work here. Missing resource exception. Okay, now I will run this in the debug mode. We'll see so why it is running internally. Okay, so cn, now I'm giving null and a code. Okay, we are getting message. Okay, so something default section it is loading here. So which condition is failing, we need to identify here. Code not now. Same thing it is satisfying. So string value and resource bundle. So cache we don't have. Now it will go to this do bundle. Base name what we are providing, message, and we have a locale. Okay, and resource bundle will get here. Yes, we are getting. Okay. Name property. So by default it is taking this US. Even though we provided as a the chain is now it is converting. Here now you can see. So CN we have, but inside the resource bundle now it is replacing here. So now you can see the locale it is replacing here. Because of that now it is modifying here. Definitely we'll get this. Here only we need to identify here. Module locale. Okay, so it's going to take some time here because somewhere the locale is modifying here. Because of that, so we are getting this particular locale as a US here. Okay, let me go to this and try with where we are having. So we have locale. Here, put a breakpoint here. We'll see how this locale is modifying here. This is important here, identifying the locale here. So null we are getting. Right now I will remove this because it's going to call from the multiple location. Now again I'm adding this. Now we'll see. So without debugging this, I'm checking here. Now what is the locale? So right now it is null. Okay, from where we are calling here? So reader so here we are trying to set the locale. What is the target record? Now you can see it is now modifying to US. From where it is modifying here, this is important. Now we'll check this cache key, format, control, and expired bundle. So where this target is coming? Okay. Now you can see because of this particular cache key, because of this particular cache key, it is modifying the locale. Okay, so it is modifying it. Now it is replacing with this particular EN. So why it is modifying it? So we need to decode this particular cache key. Okay, so I will let you know this. So how this particular cache key is going to work internally. So this is because of this particular cache key. Now we identify the even though if you are trying to providing with a different information like different locale, but finally it is trying to converting into this particular section called what we can understand here, the default location. Okay, so this is not the correct one, but what we can do, we can prove on to the another important information here. Okay, so I will debug this message related section. So how the internal it is working. So like in the which section this cache is not going to work, we need to identify. So finally we got some idea why it is now modifying it, and because of this we are getting the default locale and the message here. If the default one it is not available, so internally it is getting an exception. Okay, so tomorrow like we'll discuss in the next session we'll try to discuss about the first this message related section, and later we'll move on to the annotation example. Okay, so in the spring we are going to work more on the debug related section, then only we'll identify how this particular each and every concept is going to work internally. Okay, so any questions? So the particular section, the CUD operations what we identified, the Jdbc template as well as the name mode parameter. Anyone having any questions?
Related debug class section, will it start on Monday or tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll start like tomorrow we have a session. We'll continue tomorrow. So day after tomorrow we don't have a session. Okay, so we'll continue in the next session. ఎందుకు